against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
From the skies over Missouri to above the Pacific Ocean.
Look at the three saucers.
You look up at the sky night after night, and you see something different. A strange light, a shadow that doesn't belong. It's not an airplane. It's not a star. What could it be? Now imagine the government, the one organization we trust with our security, our well-being, saying nothing is out of the ordinary, even though they know the truth. What would you think? Would you believe them? Or would you ask, why are they hiding the truth from us? For decades, that's what happened. For decades, the public asked questions, but the government only gave us answers they wanted us to hear. Today, we dive deep into one of the greatest mysteries of the 20th century, a government project so secret, so controversial, that it's left the world wondering, what did they really find out? This isn't just a story about flying saucers. This is a story of secret, fear, and unanswered questions. This is Project Blue Book. The year is 1947. The world is still recovering from the horrors of World War II, and in the quiet, vast expanse of the New Mexico desert, a mysterious object crashes. At first, it seems like just another plane wreck. The local rancher who discovers the wreckage is confused. It doesn't resemble anything he's seen before. It's not a weather balloon. It's not a plane. And then, something remarkable happened. The U.S. military, the Army Air Forces, makes an official announcement. They've recovered a flying disc. This is huge, but just hours later, this announcement is retracted, and a new explanation is offered. It was a weather balloon. So, what just happened? Was the Army trying to cover up something they didn't want the public to know? Or was this simply a case of mistaken identity? What's really chilling is that, even after this, sightings didn't stop. Reports continued to flood in, not just from everyday civilians, but also from pilots, military personnel, and astronomers. People who knew the sky, people who knew what they were looking at, and they were all seeing things they couldn't explain. In fact, 1947 alone had over 850 reports of UFO sightings in the United States. That's more than 2 every single day, and these were not isolated incidents. These reports were coming from all across the country, and yet, the government kept insisting that it was just misidentification or hoaxes. But the truth is, something bigger was going on, something that couldn't be ignored. So, what do you think happened in Roswell? Was it just a simple cover-up, or was there something far more otherworldly at play here? By the early 1950s, the UFO sightings were no longer a fringe conspiracy. They were everywhere. The public, the media, even politicians. Everyone was asking the same question: what's out there? And the US government knew they couldn't keep ignoring it. They had to do something. So, in 1952, the Air Force took action. They formed Project Blue Book, a top-secret investigation designed to catalog and analyze UFO sightings. But this wasn't just any investigation. This was meant to uncover the truth, to figure out whether the phenomena were a threat to national security. And leading this monumental project was a scientist named Dr. J. Allen Hynek. At first, Hynek was brought in as a skeptic. He was a renowned astronomer who believed that UFOs were nothing more than optical illusion, misidentified aircraft, or psychological phenomena. But when he started looking at the reports, something started to change. Hynek couldn't deny the evidence. He started to see patterns, similarities between cases that couldn't be explained by simple human error or overactive imagination. He famously coined the term close encounters after hearing about bizarre cases where UFOs came alarmingly close to witnesses. His skepticism was crumbling, and his fascination with the phenomenon grew. And as Hynek dug deeper into Project Blue Book's findings, he uncovered something alarming, something that made the whole investigation seem even stranger. The Air Force wasn't just investigating UFOs to dismiss them. They were afraid of what they might find. The reports that poured in were shocking. And I'm not talking about just 1 or 2 strange lights. These were full-on encounters, unexplained objects, sightings from military pilots, people in positions of authority who swore they saw something they couldn't explain. Let's dig into some of the most unsettling cases. 1. The Lubbock Light, 1951. A group of scientists and residents in Lubbock, Texas, witnessed a V-shaped formation of glowing lights in the sky. The lights moved in perfect synchrony, showing no sign of aircraft propulsion. The lights were visible to the naked eye, and even military radar confirmed strange activity in the area. But despite this, no official explanation was ever provided. What was that in the sky over Lubbock? Could it it have been experimental aircraft, or was this something far beyond human technology? 2. The Mantell Incident, 1948. One of the most tragic events associated with UFOs was the Mantell Incident. Captain Thomas Mantell, a highly experienced Kentucky Air National Guard pilot, was sent to investigate a large, glowing object seen hovering over the area. As he pursued the object, his plane climbed higher and higher until it crashed. His body was found at the crash site, but the cause of his death was never fully explained. Was it simply a high-altitude balloon that caused confusion, or was Mantell chasing something far more dangerous? The incident raised serious questions about what these objects could do to military personnel. 3. Washington, D.C. UFO sighting, 1952. In July of 1952, an astonishing number of UFOs appeared over Washington, D.C. Hundreds of unidentified objects appeared on radar, and fighter jets were sent to intercept them. These objects darted, hovered, and moved at speeds that were absolutely unexplainable. Even Air Force pilots saw these objects with their own eyes, but no explanation came. No military aircraft, no weather balloons, just strange glowing light vanishing before they could be caught. In the summer of 1969, Project Blue Book came to an abrupt end. The announcement was as surprising as it was puzzling. After 17 years of gathering evidence, conducting interviews, and analyzing thousands of UFO sightings, the United States Air Force came to a shocking conclusion. They would officially close down the project. No more investigations, no more report. And just like that, the Project Blue Book file was sealed, without any substantial public explanation. The official word from the government was clear. There was no national security threat. Most UFOs were just misidentified aircraft, weather balloons, or natural phenomena. But let me ask you this. Does it make sense that after years of ongoing investigations, the government would suddenly stop without giving the world the full picture? Does it seem reasonable that they would spend millions of taxpayer dollars on an investigation only to close it down with a pat answer? What happened after that? The public never saw everything, and many of those involved in the project were left confused, wondering what had really been discovered. Those files that were declassified, were they complete? Were they truthful? Or did they only show what the government wanted you to see? But wait, there's more to the story that doesn't add up. Even though the government shut down Project Blue Book, it didn't mean that UFO sightings stopped. In fact, UFO reports continued to flood in from military personnel, civilians, and even astronauts. So, if the government truly believed UFOs were nothing more than weather balloons, why did sightings keep increasing? The real question is, what happened after the shutdown? When Project Blue Book officially ended, the public was told that there was no threat, that the UFO phenomenon had been thoroughly investigated and understood. But that's where things take a dark turn. Here's the thing, the project didn't actually end. Files were left behind, unseen, unaccessed, and locked away. Some of the most intriguing documents have never been released to the public. And even when some were finally declassified in the 1970s, many were heavily redacted, with entire sections blacked out. What was so dangerous that the government couldn't let us see it? In fact, some experts claim that the files were intentionally altered to hide the true findings of the investigation. What could these files contain? Imagine for a moment the military seeing things they couldn't explain. What if they encountered extraterrestrial technology that they couldn't replicate? Or what if they found evidence of life beyond Earth? Could it be that the government wanted to protect the public from this knowledge? We don't know the answer, and perhaps we never will. But some of the documents that have come to light tell a different story than the one we were told. For example, there's the case of the 1966 Westall UFO incident in Australia. Hundreds of witnesses, including students and teachers, watched a silver disc-shaped object hover above their school. The military arrived shortly after and ordered everyone to remain silent. But the file on this incident? It's still locked away in government archives, despite public pressure to reveal what happened. Or consider the 1952 UFO sightings over Washington, D.C. military radar detected multiple flying objects, and fighter jets were scrambled to intercept them. But all official reports of the encounter were marked classified. You see, Project Blue Book wasn't just about investigating UFO. It was about controlling the narrative. The US government went to great lengths to hide what they knew, what they were afraid of, and what they had already encountered. So what is it that they still don't want us to know? The secretive nature of UFO files. Now, let's get to the heart of it. Why are some files so guarded even today? Why are UFO reports still heavily scrutinized, even though the public has demanded transparency? Here's what we do know. The public has been led to believe that UFOs are just some optical illusions or natural phenomena, but many people in positions of power know better. And so, for decades, there's been a concerted effort to cover up the truth, or at least control what we're told about. The 1980 Rendlesham Forest incident, UFOs, and military encounters. One of the most famous and bizarre incidents to date was the Rendlesham Forest UFO incident, often called Britain's Roswell. It happened in 1980, and it involved military personnel who reported seeing lights and strange objects in the forest near their base. It didn't just end with the lights. Multiple credible witnesses reported strange crafts on the ground. The objects were seen by multiple military officers, including a deputy base commander. And the military? They did what they always do. They tried to cover it up, but the evidence was too strong. And this time, there were enough witnesses to make the story public. Yet, the full report was never fully released. Even the British government still has classified documents related to this incident. The search for truth. What's next? As we dive deeper into the mystery of Project Blue Book, we find that the line between what we know and what we're told is becoming more and more blurred. The government's efforts to control the UFO narrative are far from over. Why are these files still locked away? Why are we still asking questions that go unanswered? Why do some people continue to hold on to these secrets as if the truth is too dangerous for us to know? And here's the scariest question of all. What if the government knows more than they're letting on? What if they've already made contact with extraterrestrial being and they've just been waiting for the right time to reveal it? Is it possible that they've been working on technology far beyond anything we can imagine and they simply aren't ready for us to know? Or maybe the truth is far darker than we could ever imagine, and they know that we aren't ready for it. The truth is, we may never know, but that doesn't stop us from searching for the answer. In the end, Project Blue Book isn't just an investigation into UFOs. It's a reflection of the fear, the secrecy, and the power that governments hold. And it's a reminder that sometimes the truth can be more terrifying than we ever thought. You know? If this video sparked your curiosity or gave you something to think about, hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. Every click helps us uncover more stories just like this, and we've got some incredible ones coming your way.